The young and the restless spoilers. Michael's frustration had been simmering for weeks, hidden behind a mask of dutiful obedience. Ever since Victor Newman had thrust him into the inner circle of his latest scheme, one fraught with corporate espionage, underhanded attacks on the Abbott family, and clandestine maneuvers to consolidate power, Michael had felt more like a sacrificial pawn than a trusted lieutenant. Every assignment carried a palpable risk, a whisper dropped in the wrong ear, an errant clue left behind, a foe too resourceful to be fooled, and suddenly Michael's life would be forfeit. He had saved Victor's skin more times than he cared to count, yet he'd never felt the slightest bit of gratitude in return. On a muggy evening in April, with the streetlights of Genoa City flickering on one by one, Michael slipped into the low-lit back room of society, the upscale bistro that had become a neutral ground for whispered deals and secret alliances. Diane Jenkins was already there, perched at a corner table, her steely gaze fixed on the door. Next to her sat Jack Abbott, tapping a pen impatiently against his leather-bound notebook. The moment Michael entered, the trio exchanged nods that carried the weight of unspoken histories, betrayals, and unfinished business. Diane leaned forward, her voice low but urgent. "Michael, I'll get right to the point. Victor's next move is bigger than anything we've seen. He's planning a full-scale assault on Jabot, a hostile takeover that would leave our company in shambles and cement his control over half the business district. He's concentrating all his resources, and he's using you as his primary operative." Michael closed the door behind him and took the seat across from Diane. The weight of her words settled like a stone in his chest. "I know," he admitted. "But every time I bring up concerns to Victor, he brushes me off. He says danger is part of the job. He views my life as expendable. I've been up all night, running through our options. I'm tired of looking over my shoulder, tired of doing his dirty work, only to be discarded when he's done with me." Jack Abbott set his pen down and folded his hands. "You deserve better, Michael. We both know your skill set is invaluable, the way you analyze data, the contacts you maintain, the instincts you have for recognizing vulnerabilities. You could do so much more than serve as Victor's enforcer. Diane and I want to offer you a partnership. A genuine partnership." Diane nodded, adding, "We want you at our side, Michael. Jabot has always stood for integrity and creativity, values Victor has trampled underfoot. With you on board, we can safeguard Jabot, protect our people, and push back against Victor's aggression. You won't be bound by underhanded tactics or forced to compromise your principles. You'll have the freedom and the resources to do things your way." Jack's college boy charm rippled across his face as he said, "We're prepared to make you an offer you can't refuse. A competitive salary, performance bonuses tied to Jabot's growth, and full creative autonomy. We want you to help us not only defend the company, but to redefine our brand, innovative campaigns, next-generation product lines, a global expansion strategy. Whatever you need, you'll have it." Michael looked between the two of them. His mind raced, recalling every time he'd whispered urgent updates to Victor only to be met with a dismissive smirk. Every time he'd risked his life infiltrating a rival's board meeting or intercepting incriminating documents. The thrill of those missions had once captivated him, but now it all felt hollow, a means to someone else's end. "I appreciate this," Michael said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind in his head. "But why should I trust you? Victor is no stranger to betrayal, and neither are we. Diane, you've tangled with him before. Jack, you've butted heads with him in ways most people can't imagine." Diane's eyes softened. "Because unlike Victor, we have nothing to gain from using you. We want to build something sustainable, not tear down our own house. You'll be treated with respect, given real input on decisions. And if you decide this isn't for you, no hard feelings, no threats, no retribution." Jack chimed in, "And I'll vouch for her. My word is my bond, Michael. We'll fund your projects, protect your interests, and stand by you. But we need your expertise to neutralize Victor's next move. You know what he's capable of." The room fell into a heavy silence. Michael weighed his loyalty against his ambition, safety against purpose. He thought of the allies he'd earned at Jabot, the dedicated employees who believed in the company's family-like spirit, the passion they poured into every campaign. He thought of how Victor's maneuvers threatened not just Jabot's bottom line, but the livelihoods and dreams of so many. Finally, Michael exhaled. "All right," he said quietly. "I'm in. But we do this my way. No more reckless gambits for the sake of ego. Let's craft a plan to thwart Victor's hostile takeover, and while we're at it, maybe find a way to heal the rift between Newman and Abbott once and for all." Diane smiled, relief flickering across her features. Jack's grin was almost boyish. They shook hands, sealing a pact that would realign the balance of power in Genoa City. In the days that followed, Michael began to pivot behind the scenes. He reached out to a network of Jabot's loyal shareholders, quietly rallying their support to block Victor's proxy battle. He commissioned a team to audit Victor's financial records, hunting down irregularities that could derail Newman Enterprises' bid. At the same time, he worked with Diane to leak strategic information. Nothing illegal, but enough to force Victor into a defensive stance. Every move was calculated, every communication encrypted. Michael relished the sense of agency he'd never felt under Victor's thumb. He drafted a bold peace proposal, a merger of Abbott and Newman that would preserve Jabot's identity while giving Newman Enterprises a minority stake, an olive branch disguised as corporate synergy. It was the kind of grand gesture that could shatter Victor's war footing and offer both sides a path to mutual benefit. Victor, for his part, was blindsided. Accustomed to cornering his enemies with brute force, he found himself hemmed in by legal blockades, shifting investor loyalties, and a sudden groundswell of support for Michael's peace plan. With Jack and Diane steering the charge, the Abbott camp presented a united front that no surrogate operative, no matter how skilled, could undermine. Late one night, as Michael reviewed the final draft of the merger proposal, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. He had stepped out of Victor's shadow and forged a new destiny, one rooted in collaboration, not coercion. In the war between Jack's vision of peace and Victor's thirst for conquest, Michael had chosen his side, and in doing so, had set the stage for a truce that could reshape Genoa City forever. Michael and Diane's relationship today is built squarely on mutual respect, shared history, and a common goal: to rein in Victor's worst impulses and steer Genoa City toward stability. Here's why they've been in each other's orbit so frequently: a partnership forged in crisis. When Michael first defected from Victor's camp, Diane was one of the very few people he could trust to keep his secret and help him navigate the dangerous fallout. Diane, no stranger to Victor's manipulations herself, recognized in Michael a kindred spirit. Someone who valued integrity over blind loyalty. Their earliest meetings were purely tactical: encrypted video calls, late-night strategy sessions at Society, or shuttled briefings in Diane's townhome. Those mission-critical rendezvous kicked off a rhythm of cooperation that neither has abandoned. Strategy and shareholder outreach. Now that Michael is officially part of the Abbott camp, he and Diane meet almost daily to coordinate their defensive playbook. Diane has deep ties to Jabot's board and a silver tongue with investors. Michael brings operational savvy and contacts inside Newman Enterprises. Together they craft shareholder letters, review proxy materials, and sharpen the talking points that Jack will deploy in the next board meeting. Their office hours might look like informal lunches at Society one day and intense PowerPoint rehearsals at Diane's loft the next, but every gathering is another chess move to keep Victor off balance. Complementary strengths and trust. Diane admires Michael's analytical mind, his ability to spot a loophole in Victor's financial filings or to predict his next corporate maneuver, and he, in turn, values Diane's political instincts. She knows how to read a room, win over skeptical shareholders, and sense when a potential ally is on the fence. That complementary skill set has created a professional shorthand: a glance, a code word, a two-sentence briefing is sometimes all they need to recalibrate their strategy. Because Diane no longer fears being cast aside, as she did under Victor, she trusts Michael implicitly, and he, having no agenda of his own beyond protecting Jabot, feels equally secure confiding in her. The lines between business and personal. While their alliance began strictly as a matter of business, it's not gone unnoticed that the two share a genuine rapport. Diane often checks in on Michael's well-being, making sure he's not overworking himself or succumbing to Victor-induced paranoia, and Michael, in turn, listens when Diane vents her frustrations over boardroom politics or her fractured relationship with her daughter. These moments of vulnerability have deepened their bond. They meet over coffee not just to swap intel, but to offer each other counsel and encouragement. Looking ahead, as long as Victor remains a threat, Michael and Diane will continue to lean on each other. Their frequent meetings are driven by necessity. There's too much at stake to go it alone, but over time, that necessity has cemented a partnership that neither man nor woman of Genoa City can ignore. Whether they eventually broker a lasting peace between Newman and Abbott or simply hold the line until Jack can step in fully, it's clear that Michael and Diane have become one of the city's most formidable duos, and their regular face-to-face conversations are the engine that keeps their alliance humming.